So today we're doing something different. I usually do my best of series. I usually do it twice a month, but it's October. There's a lot of music coming out, so I'm going to make this a weekly series for the time being. And we're also going to do it a little differently. I'm not going to do the albums I already reviewed because there's really no need for that. I'm just going to focus on 6 releases that I didn't get a chance to review, and they're worth talking about. They're also going to be kind of like ranked. I'm going to be like listing them with the ones with like my lowest score up to my highest score. So it is kind of like a ranking video as well. So let me jump right into it. The first band I want to talk about is called Borealis. They're from Ontario, Canada. They are a power metal band. They kind of like consider themselves progressive metal. In my opinion, they were kind of like a band like maybe like Evergrey or Stratovarius, kind of like straddling the line between like power and progressive. Sounds called Illusions, released on October 7th. This is their album number 6 in their discography, released on Hydrant Music. And I thought it was pretty good. It's melodic power metal, so if you're into that type of music, I think you would like it. Bands like I mentioned, Stratovarius, Evergrey, Visions of Atlantis, those types of bands. I thought it wasn't that bad. It was a very melodic production. If you like power metal, you like it. It did grow on me after a few listens, so it's a decent album. My score is a 7 out of 10. Next is a band called Counterparts. They're from Ontario, Canada. They're a metalcore band, and the album is called Eulogy, for those still here, released on October 7th. This is album number 7 in their discography, released on Pure Noise Records. And my first impression was, it's good, but it's metalcore. They're not reinventing the wheel. They're not doing anything different. They just have that core sound. They play good. Everything you want in metalcore, you're going to get on this album. So if you like this type of music, you're going to like it. Production's okay. If you're a metalcore fan, you're going to like it. And it's the type of album that, it is kind of catchy. The songs are pretty decent. Nothing too great, nothing too bad. But for me, final score is 7 out of 10. Next band is Aenaon, or Aenaon, the band from Greece. They are an experimental progressive black metal band. I mean, this is where it starts to get good. The album is called Mnemosyne, another one I can't pronounce. Album released on October 7, 2022. This is album number 4 in their discography, released on Agonia Records. It was very different. It's black metal, but with a saxophone. So it was good. I think it reminded me of that recent like Psy album, that like avant-garde metal. I guess that's what you can call it. This one I enjoyed. It was like very good. And I think bands like Psy or Imperial Triumphant are kind of bands you can compare them to, because I usually don't like black metal, but it's like black metal but like with like a smooth jazz saxophone, and somehow they make it work. I know the saxophone is like a new trend in metal, and I liked it a lot. So for me, this was an 8 out of 10. This one was very good. Now we're going to get to the really good stuff. Next one is Acid Witch, and this is the band from Detroit, Michigan, and they play like, they say they play like psychedelic metal, doom metal, death metal, stoner metal, but for me, it's like Halloween metal. I mean, that's the genre. Let's just invent a new genre, because, the album is called Rot Among Us, released on October 1st. And album number 4 in their discography. I've never really heard of this band. Record label, Hell's Headbangers Records. And this is the kind of album that if you have a Halloween party, you're going to put this on, because, the vocalist, it sounds like the Wicked Witch of the West. It just sounds just great. It's just great Halloween music. It's slow, heavy riffs, it's sludgy. But it just has that really like fun like atmosphere, that like whole like Halloween feel to it. Very good production. If you like horror movies and Halloween, check out this album. You're gonna love it. I listened to it a few times, and just I really love it every time. It's just such like a fun album. So my score for this is an 8.5 out of 10. Next, the band is called Blind Illusion, a band from Richmond, California. They play a progressive thrash. At least that's what they say. It kind of like sounds a little more like melodic, but I'll get into that. The album is called Wrath of the Gods, released on October 7th, and this is album number 3 in its discography. Kind of a strange band, because they released something like many years ago in like 1988, and they had like Les Claypool from Primus in the band at one point. And then they took like a long break, and this is one of those bands they just like put out albums every like 10 or 20 years or something. But released on Hammerheart Records, just very cool. Like it's like melodic thrash. The bands that came to mind were like Flotsam and Jetsam or Tourniquet. They're like one of those like Christian thrash metal bands, though, if you know them. They reminded me a lot of that. It's just very heavy, very good. I think if you like that melodic thrash, or it's like thrash with elements of power metal, just really good. I mean, the songs were really good all the way through. I mean, I listened to it a few times. I enjoyed it like a little more every time I listened to it. So my final score is going to be an 8.5 out of 10. And I have one more, and this is going to be my number one album, and it's going to be a strange pick, but it's from Wednesday 13, which is actually a solo artist. So he's from Lexington, North Carolina, and he plays horror punk. He was in the band Murder Dolls, and Murder Dolls was one of those bands that Joey Jordison from Slipknot was in at one point. The album's called Horrifier, released on October 7th, and this is Wednesday 13's ninth album, and released on Roadrunner. It's just a very fun album. Lots of like short songs about like horror movie stuff. It's just very like fun, just really great songs, and just I think I'm kind of like biased with this album. That's why I'm giving it a high score, because he says his biggest influences are Alice Cooper and Kiss, and those are like two of my favorite bands of all time. So if you're doing something like Alice Cooper and Kiss, I'm definitely gonna give your album more points. So definitely really good production. So if you like the Misfits, if you like Alice Cooper, Kiss, Rob Zombie, Bloody Hammers, that type of stuff, or if you remember Murder Dolls, you'll love this. I liked it a lot. My score is a 9 out of 10. So that is all. That is my first one. I think throughout the month of October, I'm going to be doing like this as a weekly series. So continue, like, comment, subscribe, and see you in the next one.